Tonight, an Iowa poll shows Ron Paul has vaulted to the lead. Actually, a four-way tie between Herman Cain, Ron Paul, Mitt Romney, and Newt Gingrich. Here now, Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman Paul, welcome back. You are among the four dead heat frontrunners in Iowa. Do you have a quick thought on that? You are surging there.
Well, actually, I'm very pleased. The campaign's very pleased with what's happening. But I think I'm very cautious also. We still have a lot of work to do, and we'll keep plugging away. One thing I feel good about is when we do get supporters, they're pretty solid, and they don't come and go. They're pretty solid, and they'll stick with me. So that, to me, is very encouraging.
Congressman, what's your key message right now to the Republican voters in Iowa that will caucus?
Well, the main thing is that I've talked about for years is that we need to dramatically change our approach to government. Not so much that you get rid of waste and fraud, which I think we should. It's bigger than that. I think it's the role of government. I want to talk about our foreign policy. Of course, you know I talk a lot about monetary policy and how monetizing debt is an encouragement to spending. But we also have to address the spending here at home. And for that reason, I say you have to cut spending. That, to me, is the top of the list. And I have proposed, and I've gotten a good reception on, that we ought to cut $1 trillion out of the first year's budget in order to tell the world and the financial markets that we're serious and we're not going to just drive ourselves into this sovereign debt crisis that the rest of the world's involved in already.
You know, Congressman, we're talking a lot tonight on this program about the super committee votes coming up, and it's a very hot topic everywhere around the country. What do you make of these rumors and reports that Republicans are agreeing to 6 or 7 or 800 billion in tax increases, which in some sense may actually exceed the spending cuts, and it could be less than 1-to-1 spending versus revenues? What do you make of that, and what would you do about it?
Well, if I had anything to do with it, I wouldn't accept it, and I certainly wouldn't accept it nor vote for it. But if it goes through and that is resolved, I think that seals the fate for the Republicans the next go-around. Is sort of what George Bush Sr. did. I won't raise taxes, you raise taxes, and he was punished for it. So I think if the Republicans capitulate, there will be a punishment, and I don't think that there will be any changes in the executive branch. But I'm offering something different, and if we prevail, those kind of things won't happen.
Wouldn't the GOP be better off, sir, just on this point, to take the across-the-board spending cut trigger? Why not take that? At least it comes to, if I'm not mistaken, over $1 trillion in spending cuts.
Oh, yeah, that's better than not doing anything or raising taxes. But even that, from my viewpoint, isn't very much because that's over a long period of time, and it doesn't really address the major problems. So it would be better, though, I agree with you, it would be better than doing what it looks like they might do, raise taxes and pretend that they're going to get more cuts. That's not going to happen. That's been tried before, and the cuts never come about. Because what we do is only good for 1 year. You know, this plans, these 10-year programs and this baseline budgeting, that is what's wrong. And that's why I claim that for this year's budget, the year that we're working in is the only thing that counts, and that's why we have to address it, and we have to cut spending in a very significant manner.
You know, just last thought quickly, sir. You have an ally on the Fed, believe it or not. Last night on the show, Dallas Fed President Richard Fisher told me he was totally opposed to any more quantitative easing and felt we'd already done too much quantitative easing. Now, I know you've suggested Jim Grant as a Fed chairman. Would a President Ron Paul look at a Richard Fisher as Treasury Secretary?
Well, certainly you should be open. I just happen to know Jim very well. And Fisher did write me a note recently, and it was a friendly note. And he said he didn't agree with a lot of what I say, but he was in agreement with a significant amount of it. So it was a friendly overture to me, and I think you should talk with people because you won't get everybody agreeing with all the issues. I just want to curtail some of the powers of the Fed. Of course, at the beginning, I'd like to change the whole system, but I think it's this unrelenting monetizing of debt, which is the QE type thing, just printing and creating credit out of thin air. That will cause great harm. It's already caused great harm, and it's going to take a while for us to work our way out of that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman Ron Paul of Texas, now among the front runners in a dead heat in Iowa. Thank you, sir, as always.
Thank you.
All right, very interesting. Richard Fisher, a possible Treasury Secretary. Dick Fisher on this show last night, president of the Dallas Fed. Next up on Kudlow, new numbers out show the poorest senator. Thing is, the Democrat says he is